There's one thing that's held true in my trading journey up to this point, and that's the simpler that I make my trading itself, and the more I focus on risk management, trade management, and of course, psychology and mindset, the more money I make and the more consistent I am, and the more progress I continue to make as a trader. Now, I'll ask my editor to litter the screen with prop firm payouts because I just took my 11th payout from the same prop firm live account that I'm about to show you in this video and show you my charts, my screen. But you don't have to take my word for any of this. You don't have to believe any of the stuff that I'm going to show you on screen. You can watch me trade the account that I'm going to show you right here live every day, 100% free, 9:15 a.m. Eastern. And I will show you the simplicity around my trading, the discretionary, very, very basic approach that I use. I don't even like to call it a strategy. And you could watch me trade. You could watch me make mistakes. You could watch me do well. You could watch the run-ups, the wins, losses, entries, stops, exits, targets, everything in real time. I don't claim to be the best trader. I don't claim to have it all figured out. I'm happy to show you the success that I have had up to this point. And I'm also happy to show you the failures, the drawbacks, the down tough days, right? The really painful stuff as well. Live every day in hopes of providing some value. Maybe you say, hey, this dude sucks and I don't want to do anything that he does, and that's some value for you. So let's go ahead and hop onto the charts here. Now, as you can see from the screen in front of you, this is the actual trading terminal. This is Project X with my Top 1 Futures pre-live account. This is my chart. Zero markup. I have technically 3 indicators and a drawing tool that is repeatedly put on the chart every single day in the same consistent manner every morning. It takes me literally 10 seconds just to actually draw the fixed range volume profile that I have right here. And I wouldn't even need to do that if I could run an actual indicator that did it. I have volume tools on my chart. These are technically indicators, but I really consider them more of different displays of volume than an indicator that's going to give me some different plotting of information, right? It's just more volume. If I had just raw price action and market structure with none of this, I would have no volume. But all other indicators are really just another display of price, time, and volume printed out in some other, crazy way. So very, very simple chart, right? Pretty raw, pretty clean. Visible range volume profile here on the right-hand side. Fixed range volume profile, VWAP, and volume down on the bottom. Obviously, these are all volume-focused tools because that's all I want on my chart. Price, time, and volume, right? Price action and market structure right here in the middle, which I also run as these monotone white and gray candles. Volume, again, simple, easy on the eyes, not overlaying the stuff that I really want to pay attention to. VWAP, which is this nice dynamic display of volume right here in the middle ground. And then actual traditional volume down here on the bottom. The only other thing that you'll really see me run on the left side of my screen as I'm trading live is order flow. It is Bookmap. I think that's a very, very valuable, helpful tool for me. It does display different things that I can see right here. Live liquidity in the market, the actual order book as it's playing out throughout the day. But is it 100% necessary? If you're not that experienced yet, you don't want to test that just yet, I think you can get by without it, and as well as some other statistic providers like Edgeful. But again, this is just more context data that comes in. So the simplistic way that I approach this market, and as I make it simpler and simpler and draw less and less zones and less lines in my chart, I tend to just do better and better. I am trying to flow with price action, with market structure in the direction of the day after NYSE open here on YM on the 15-minute chart using these tools. That's the baseline, right? A little bit more, maybe a little bit more information on it. I want to trade level to level. I want to trade area of interest to area of interest. You could call this support and resistance trading. You could call it volume profile levels, visible range volume profile levels, point of control levels to areas of interest, right? That's really the baseline of what I'm doing. There's no crazy narrative. There's no special, insane, thing that's going on behind the banks and the market makers and the liquidity that's, being hunted is not the way that I'm approaching this. If price pops to the upside in a downtrend, we sweep a prior day high, I'm probably going to look short, right? You can go back and watch my live videos. We crack to the downside, we sweep prior day low, maybe a pre-market low. We tap an area of high volume from visible range volume profile, a prior day's volume point of control. I'm going to look long. No crazy wait for confirmation, no insane bullish engulfing doji candle, none of that stuff, man. I might also take into account an opening range, right? A 1 hour opening range, but it is all rooted in a discretionary, simplistic approach of trying to structure my risk and flow with the market. I don't believe technical analysis, the lines we draw on our chart, the volume profiles that we have any real predictive power that they're going to tell us what's going to happen next on this very trade. I think they can give us a good way to structure risk. They can give us a way to repeatably approach the market, which is important to apply some consistency. Give us a way to structure or manage our trades. And that's where a lot of our edge is going to come from. That risk structure and then that trade management. Along with that, being able to have something that you personally have confidence in, because maybe you don't like what's on my chart. You think this is not enough. You think this is too much. But something that you have confidence in, that you are watching play out day over day, over and over again, that you have a repeatable way to approach and can apply that same level of discretion, intuition, in line with the market, right? Not being so out of hand where we're doing something completely different every single day, completely flexible, right? But as a whole, I think the less that I have to think about when I want to actually get into a trade, the less that I have to take into consideration where if I had 4 other moving averages on here and Bollinger Bands and RSI and MACD down on the bottom, and I was also creating a narrative around what the Fed's going to do and whether or not, NFP is actually going to be on, a Friday, and that's going to play into my role. And then I'm also taking into account what 47 other correlated assets are doing and any divergences or correlations between them, what the VIX is doing, what gold is doing. I think that just becomes way too much information and makes this really simple game that we're playing here of probabilities way more complicated than it needs to be. Now, I don't want to say that having a chart like this, having a very, very simple approach to try to flow with the market day in and day out, trade level to level, area of interest to area of interest is easy. I don't think it makes trading easy. I don't think trading is easy as a whole, but I don't think that we need to confuse difficulty with complexity. And is a difficult thing to wrap your head around there. And I struggled with that for a really long period of time, completely overcomplicated my trading. But if you are struggling, if you're at that point where you're feeling lost and you just don't have confidence in your system, your approach, and you're feeling like it is very complicated, I would encourage you to do this. Strip your chart. Try to get it as clean as you possibly can. Maybe get it way cleaner than mine. Go back to raw price action and market structure. If you have to have any tools on your chart, I encourage you to ask yourself this. Am I using these tools every single day? If you have a moving average on your chart, are you using that moving average every single day? Or do you have so many different tools on your chart that they're giving you conflicting information? You're not using them with every trade. You're not using them every day. And they're just overlaying and taking away from what you actually need to be focusing on. Along with that, what other information sources are you utilizing? Are you checking like news sites? Are you listening to talking heads throughout the day? Are those helping you or hurting you? Are you backtesting with them and trading with them every day? Or are you just taking random bits and pieces of information and it's just convoluted and throwing it all over the place, right? Backtest your approach, forward test your approach. Try to journal and review what's working, what's not working. As simple as that sounds, that's what I do. I look in large sample sizes, right? Maybe not one individual trade. Every time maybe I enter way too aggressively off of the open, the first 5 minutes, I notice I'm taking L's. Maybe I noticed something in trade management. If I go stop loss to break even, oftentimes my trades are getting stopped out and I'm not able to actually hold on to my winners and realize these large losses, right? That's an actual example. Review, try to do a little bit more of what's working, a little bit less of what's not. But again, the overarching message for this video that I really want to get across, guys, trading does not have to be complicated. It really does not have to be complicated. I promise you that. I think some of the best traders that we all watch trade incredibly simple approaches. Some of the best traders that I watch have raw charts, almost nothing. A couple key levels, 1 or 2 indicators that they're using that are providing maybe some different information. And they're applying their discretion. They're controlling risk. They have a fairly repeatable and consistent way to approach the market within the bounds of allowing some of that flexibility, some of their pattern recognition, their implicit memory, right, to utilize their context of what's going on. But they're focusing on being great risk managers. They're focusing on being great trade managers. And it's less of a focus on how am I going to create this 100% mechanical 90% win rate strategy that's going to give me the perfect entry with the exact stop loss and exact take profit, and I can just narrow this down and then I can just kick back and a bot or an EA can trade for me, right? Unfortunately, it's just not out there in my humble opinion. So anyway, guys, I hope this video, some of this rambling and discussion of my thoughts on trading itself, viewing my chart, taking a look at kind of how I'm approaching the market. And as I progress, I hope that this chart gets simpler and simpler. My approach gets even more and more raw with less and less factors to consider and things to need to come into play as I go, and just more experience, more discretion, more intuition, a better read of the tools that I'm using, but coming from a very, very simple place. If you guys want to check out the actual futures firm that I'm trading with here, Top One Futures, for this pre-live account, I'll link it, give you the code RDF, gets you 57.5% off right now. If you're watching this somewhere down the line, hit the link, head to the site. Code RDF is always going to give you the best deal, better than the email, the website, the Discord. They are an instant funded prop firm here on Project X, but also NinjaTrader, TradingView, and Tradeovate, which is extremely important since Project X is pulling support for all prop firms. But if you want to check that out, link is going to be in the description, link right here. Again, best deal with code RDF. Anyway, I hope this video helps, guys. If it did, feel free, hit like, hit subscribe if you want to watch this stuff play out live every dang day. You know where to find me, 9:15 a.m. Eastern, right here. And quick disclaimer, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing I say or do is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything at all. Make sure you do your own research, make your own trading decisions, read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content, like Top One Futures, code RDF, Bookmap, and others.